Good morning. Welcome to your Friday morning, early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Vanya Nussbaum. We have a longer reading today, which should cue you that we're coming from the Wild Kuan Yin deck by Alana Fairchild. And as you all know, this is one of my favorite decks. The cards tend to be longer, but they really go in depth. And her way of describing certain things is so helpful. Good morning, Peggy. Glad you are here. Welcome, welcome. So we'll give it a minute or two as people start to roll in, and then we'll dive into this reading. Good morning, Judy. Welcome. Looks like someone else has popped on. Glad you are here. But I started reading this, and in the past I've used this. Good morning, Abigail. I thank you for the sunset and the hearts. They're so teeny tiny because it's like a thumbnail rolling through, but I can see them. Awesome, awesome. Good morning, Lucy. Welcome. And our little counter is not keeping up here. What else is new? So glad to have you all here. Know that there's no accidents. There's a reason you're here for this particular reading, and I think you're all going to really enjoy this reading because it's very heartening. Good morning, Mel. Welcome. Glad you're here. So the Wild Kuan Yin deck from Alana Fairchild. And I like to think sometimes about her channeling this deck. This has to be channeled information. It doesn't say that anywhere, but it just feels so otherworldly and profound that I can't help but imagine that it's channeled information. So let's take some nice deep belly breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, Cindy. Welcome, welcome. Nice deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Just settling in, ready for this delicious reading. I just love this. So again, Wild Kuan Yin, Alana Fairchild. For those of you who have the deck, yours may be on a different page because again, I have an older deck that tends to be longer. A friend of mine has the newer deck and she calls it Wild Kuan Yin Light. So our card is number 17, Sacred Falcon Shows the Way. So here's the image, and I love these because you can see the falcon way on the other end from where my baby finger is, and she's tumbling after, and there's the yak going along for the ride. I think it's a yak, maybe it's a bull, I'm not sure. But Sacred Falcon shows the way. So let's see what it has to tell us, and I'll let you know when we get to the point where I was kind of grabbed and I went, ooh, this is powerful. This is powerful. Sacred Falcon shows the way. Good morning, Carolyn. You're just in time. My wisdom is embodied in nature. I speak to you through the language of the natural world. You will understand my guidance for you as you trust in your observations of nature. Look for my signs. My language is symbolic, humorous, clear, and loving. Yes, welcome to the tribe. We're all here. I talk to you every day, my divine wild child. Within you are the wild instincts and loving intuitions that can recognize my signs, the presence of my guiding hand. I love that, my guiding hand. I am speaking to you. Believe. And there was the word that grabbed me because many of you know that my favorite word is believe. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reminders that I sit around in various places and they move about. Feel free to move about my desk, reminding me of that most important activity, believe. Thank you for posting that, Abigail. I appreciate it. So here we go. This is longer, and even for Kuan Yin standards, this is a longer reading. So settle in, enjoy, breathe, sip your coffee, whatever works for you. The Divine Mother has many ways of communicating. We can be most receptive to her helpful guidance when we are open, without expectation as to how she shall communicate or what she shall tell us. Good morning, Ruth Ann. Glad you are here. You're going to love this card. We must be willing to trust our hearts when we feel moved, even if our logical mind has doubts. So there's several times during the course of this reading that I got the nudge from Spirit to repeat sentences. There's like 3 or 4 times where that's going to happen. Here's one of them. We must be willing to trust our hearts when we feel moved, even if our logical minds have doubts. Your heart just knows when you have received a sign from the Divine Mother. It could be the most ordinary occurrence, a simple remark made by another, a song on the radio, the sudden appearance of an animal. And oftentimes when it's an animal appearance, they're doing something unusual, okay? Makes you kind of look again like, what the heck? So I'll tell you one of mine. I was going down a country road and there was an eagle that was feeding on a dead deer, and it stopped and it looked at me and it watched me the whole way as I drove past, instead of flying off, which is typically what it would have done. So that really caught my attention. So I went home, grabbed all my animal speak books, and figured out what eagle was attempting to tell me. So all of those things, it might be an ordinary occurrence, yet underneath this apparent ordinariness, there is a sense of the numinous, a magic that catches your breath before your mind steps in to discount it as fanciful. So know that that's what Kuan Yin's predicting for us, that we will have these moments where we go, oh, and then our mind will step in and start the chatter. It's nothing, it's just a coincidence, blah, 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 okay? You sense and feel something profound beneath the appearance of the ordinary. Or perhaps your sign is more dramatic, an accident that seems like a warning, or a synchronicity too vivid and compelling to ignore. What shows a sign to be a communication from the divine, rather than any other mundane happening, is the feeling that accompanies it. It captures your attention, and you sense there is meaning for you, even if you're not sure immediately what that meaning could be. Again, it's useful to spend some time with it. Allow it to perk. Don't insist that it be a certain something, okay? So sometimes I don't go to the other books to read what someone else's thoughts are about it. I wait and I see what drops in. I wonder if it's this. I wonder if it's that. I wonder what this is going to mean to me down the road as I allow it to perk, okay? For one person, it may be a ladybug landing on their shoulder. Without thinking, they flick it off. For you, however, that same simple happening could reflect a deeper communion. The landing of the ladybug is the reassuring touch of the Divine Mother upon your shoulder. Maybe a bird strikes its prey right before you. For you, it is a sign of great opportunity that you must be ready to act upon without hesitation. A single white feather, as if from an angel, could fall from the sky and land at your feet. Somehow you know everything is going to be all right. Another person may give these things not a second thought. Okay? So what that's telling us is, don't rely on someone else's definition of what these things mean. They resonate for you in a certain way. Own that. Claim that. When the Oracle of Sacred Falcon shows the way comes to you, you are being told to trust the signs. Good morning, Gwen. Glad you're here. Trust what your heart tells you, what you feel, over and above any apparent logic. So, well, I'm sorry. Glad you're here now. This is good stuff. We're not that far into it, so don't fret. You're going to get the message over and over. Because one of the things about the Kuan Yin book, good morning, Beth, glad you're here, is it repeats the message. Wants to make sure we're going to get it. So repeat, repeat, repeat. You're going to see the same messages over and over, including this one, which is important for me to repeat to you. Trust what your heart tells you, what you feel, over and above any apparent logic. So don't get trapped in the head routine. Move into your heart. There's that saying, get out of your head and into your heart. Trust where you are being led and what you feel the divine is communicating to you through the happenings in the natural world. But I hope things are good in the Sioux. Welcome, welcome. Trust even in the signs you sense through the modern world created by humanity, such as a song on the radio or a book that seems to demand that you purchase it, for there is divine guidance in all things if we know how to feel and look for it. The universe uses whatever's available, right? So it could be a billboard. It could be a billboard. And that may sound cheesy, but when you know, you know, you know. It just connects. And that book that demands that you purchase it, I had one book that I bought. It was Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. It sat on my shelf for a year and a half, and then it literally fell off the shelf. And I'm like, well, I guess it's time to read this one. And I was amazed. It's like, then at some point during reading, I thought to myself, why didn't I read this earlier? It's so helpful. But divine right timing and divine right order. 18 months later was when I needed to read it. Yes, when you know, you know. And you want to trust that. All right. You don't have to understand the bigger picture here, and that annoys most of us. We want to know the big picture. The messages you receive do not have to conform to logic. They don't even have to translate into words. You may simply have a feeling of connection and reassurance, a sense that cannot be justified or explained, that somehow whatever has been bothering you is being taken care of by a greater power. Handing it over, handing it over. Whether or not you have a clear and conscious interpretation of what you recognize as your sign, you are being given valuable guidance nonetheless. At a deeper level, it has an impact and will inform your choices. So what I'm going to say about that is, if you don't understand what the message is, don't beat a dead horse. Allow it to be on a subconscious level. You know. It may not make conscious sense yet. Allow that to just be. Remember, we're practicing being okay with uncertainty, being okay with not knowing. This is a perfect example of that. So it is safe to have faith in these signs, and to do so you will need to trust your own heart and feelings. Let yourself continue to be led by inner instincts that recognize and interpret the signs and omens of life, even whilst your mind may question whether the divine could be so interested and active in the smallest details of your life. Again, when we apply human perception to things, well, God can't be everywhere. Yeah, God can be everywhere. God can be in everything. God can be sending multiple messages to all of us at the same time. All of that stuff, time, passage, all that stuff, that's irrelevant to the universe. Irrelevant. Okay? This oracle of Sacred Falcon Shows the Way also comes with a special message. Even in the most unlikely of circumstances, a way can be found. Okay? Good morning, Diane. Glad you are here. And that is one I'm going to read 3 times. Are you ready? Even in the most unlikely of circumstances, a way can be found. Even in the most unlikely of circumstances, a way can be found. Even in the most unlikely of circumstances, a way can be found. Hopefully someone will write that one in our feed. That is important. Even in the most unlikely of circumstances, a way can be found. So I even read it an extra time, just to make sure it sinks in for us, okay? It will not necessarily be a consciously understood way. There we are again. Go with the flow. You can allow the instincts of your own nature to help you find what you seek. Instinct is not intellectual deduction justified by logic. Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate it. Instinct is more like intuition in that it comes from deep within the body. Where intuition comes from the heart, instinct arises from the body's knowing and expresses itself through your bones. A gut feeling from deep in the belly, or a sense of smell that alerts you to something or someone not being quite right. So think about that. We have not only that instinct, that bodily sense of knowing, but we have intuition, our heart's guidance. We have both, and we want to use both. They complement each other beautifully, all right? Instinct is the body's version of intuition, and it is natural and helpful. The process of socialization and education typically tries to impose reason and logic, intellectual and rational explanation upon your instinctual self, as though the intellect were somehow superior. Intellect is a form of useful intelligence, but to allow it to dominate instinct is not intelligent at all. So let me read that one again. Intellect is a form of useful intelligence, but to allow it to dominate instinct is not intelligent at all. And we've known that from other readings that we have had, haven't we? Where, then, is that an Einstein quote? I want to say it's an Einstein quote, the gist of which is that our intellect is meant to be the servant. And we've goofed that up, and we honor the servant and forget the master, which is our heart. Our heart. All right? Let's see here. Instinct can tell you when something is not as it seems, such as when a person's words do not match their intentions. You do not have to think about how you know, you just know. Instinct for when to trust and when to remove yourself from a situation or relationship, for knowing when to rest and for knowing when to hunt for nourishment, is a natural part of your body's wisdom and helps you live well. When instinct is combined with intuition of the heart, you are given not only powerful impulses to guide your life, but also the wisdom to respond to that information consciously and in ways that are constructive and will take you forwards on your life path. So notice what she's saying there. The intuition and the instinct together are incredibly powerful. She's not really talking about intellect there at all. And again, we overvalue thinking. We way overvalue thinking, and it does not serve us. Instinct gives you the information, and intuition tells you how to deal with it in the best way. So hear that one again a couple of times. Instinct gives you the information, and intuition tells you how to deal with it in the best way. One more time. Instinct gives you the information, and intuition tells you how to deal with it in the best way. For thousands of years, wild birds have been tamed by the falconer for hunting purposes. One of the keys of falconry is the bond between the hunter and the falcon. It takes time to develop and is based on clear, simple reinforcement. When our wild instincts have been damaged by social conditioning, we can feel confused, uncertain, and lacking in self-confidence. Does it sound like anybody? I'm sure a lot of us could raise our hands. This can happen when we ignore our body and sit at a desk for prolonged hours. Okay, yes, I hear that. I hear it loud and clear. Thank you. Or keep our emotions in check, not making a fuss. We ignore what we feel as there's no logic at the time to support our feelings. But let's get to the point where we're doing things like, I don't know why, but I'm just feeling this gut thing that this isn't okay, and I'm going to listen to that. That we can speak that. We can say it, we can honor it, we can follow through with it. Let's see. Restoring the honored connection between instinct and intuition, between the deep knowing of our body and the loving wisdom of our heart, is an integral part of our rewilding journey to become fully alive, divine human being, rather than one with a broken will and disconnected mind, body, soul. I'm going to read that one more time. It's long, but it's important. Restoring the honored connection between instinct and intuition, between the deep knowing of our body and the loving wisdom of our heart, is an integral part of our rewilding journey to become a fully alive, divine human being, rather than one with a broken will and a disconnected mind, body, soul. This oracle brings you encouragement with such a process. Just as the falconer builds a bond with the wild falcon who then helps the hunter in their task, so too do we need to repair the bond with our bodily instincts. This means that we do not judge them, do not shame ourselves for them, do not blindly act them out. We need the wise intuition of the heart to know what to do with our instinctual responses, but nor do we try to repress them. Okay? We learn to listen, to care, to value, to respect. When our body feels something, especially something uncomfortable or pleasurable, we are curious, open, inquisitive, and non-judging, and our intuitive heart responds to the information the body provides. When we choose to live with wildness, which means openness to all of who we are, rather than the parts that seem proper, appropriate, socially acceptable, controlled, and tamed, then we need our instincts, just like the hunter needs the falcon. And I thought for women, that particular sentence was really powerful. So let me read it again. when we choose to live with wildness, which means openness to all of who we are, rather than the parts that seem proper, appropriate, socially acceptable, controlled, and tamed, then we need our instincts, just like the hunter needs the falcon. We must learn to trust at that deeper level, restoring dignity to our basic responses to life and learning to use their messages with wisdom. Okay? If you have started this process of rewilding, of healing your relationship with your own instincts and letting them recover from abuse, suppression, or denial, then this oracle brings encouragement to continue. Your healing will be wildly successful and most helpful for your quality of life and spiritual growth. This is spiritual. This tuning into the intuition and the instincts, that is spiritual. That's our path. If, for example, you have an instinct that something or someone is right or not quite right for you, then this oracle is confirmation of that assessment. Do not dismiss these feelings as being merely judgment on your part, and therefore your own issue, rather than a truth showing itself to you. And then thank that wisdom of your intuition and the survival value of your instincts. Appreciate them. Have gratitude for them, that they're cueing you. Something isn't right here. Listen to that. There may be a situation where you are involved in a project with a particular person and you have let them know it is not a good idea for you to work together, even if you're not sure why. Or perhaps you are sensing that a personal relationship is not healthy for you, despite a long history together and no apparent change in the relationship that you can quite articulate. You may wish that person well, but it would be best to heed instincts, cut ties, and thereby avoid unnecessary complications and struggles later on. As you learn to listen and respond to your instincts, you will find it easier to trust them because you'll see from experience what happens if you ignore them. Life can flow much more easily when you trust your instincts, even if at the time it seems more difficult to act upon what you are sensing. This trust will require you to have self-esteem, self-love, and self-confidence. If you feel you are lacking in any of those qualities, you can be sure this oracle is bringing you a message that they are being developed through the way you choose to respond to life experiences. Those qualities of love, esteem, and confidence are needed for your next steps on your life path. It is an act of self-love, self-esteem, and self-confidence to trust in your instincts. You are being reassured that they will not lead you astray, but indeed towards nourishment. So now we have a healing process, all right? Take a drink here first. And I'm glad there are a dozen of you on here soaking up this wonderful energy with me. So place one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. Say this prayer aloud if possible. So I will say it and leave space for you to repeat out loud. Call and response. Kuan Yin, Wild Divine Mother, I call upon your grace and blessing. Sacred Falcon, sacred animal body, with instincts so wild and loving heart with wise intuition, I call upon you both. Of my own free will, I choose to forgive myself for ever ignoring my intuition or instincts. I forgive myself for any time I did follow instinct or intuition and became frightened of what happened and pulled back. Not willing to commit to a course of action, and where I felt betrayed, abandoned, and disappointed. I now choose to trust unconditionally in the safety of following my instincts and intuition. I forgive and release any person, any memory from this or any lifetime where listening to my instincts or intuition has elicited judgment or fear. I no longer choose to carry this memory. Instead, I now choose to experience the peace of trust in my instinctual body and my intuitive heart. I trust myself. Through my own free will and the grace of Wild Kuan Yin, who loves me unconditionally, it is so. Now, with one hand still on your heart and one on your belly, rest for as long as feels good, perhaps with your eyes closed. So you can just close your eyes and just take some nice deep belly breaths, allowing this prayer to integrate into your mind, body, spirit. And then when you feel it is time, simply open your eyes. You've completed your healing process. So I'm going to show you the card again. There she is, following the guidance of the Sacred Falcon. Sacred Falcon shows the way. So today, let's do something fun, okay? We're going to be spending our day looking for signs. And many of you know and have used my next 3 things approach. Let's expand that. It could be the next 10 things. Who cares? Good morning, or thank you, Cindy. I appreciate you spending time and writing the things down for us. Let's pay attention all day long. What do you most want some information about? Where do you want some guidance in your life? What question do you have? I want you right now to pose your question to the universe. If you want to write it in the feed so we can hold support for you, awesome. If you want to just keep it to yourself, that's fine. If you'd like to private message me with it, that is awesome too. But ask a question. What is your question? My question, I will put it out there, is it important for me to create a working document that lays out the building of this project? There's so many moving parts and pieces. I feel like for me and for others, so that we understand ourselves, each other, and the process, it would be helpful to have this laid out in phases. So I'm asking, is it important for me to do that? I'm putting that out in the universe, and now I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to see what are the things that come my way. First thing that I notice is I look down and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different believes. So ask your question. Again, I'm glad it was perfect for you today, Carolyn. Thank you. Yep, and the cards always present themselves to us when it's divine right timing and divine right order. It's got nothing to do with me. It's here's what I'm presented, and then I present it to you, following intuition and instinct. Yes. So have an awesome, fun day. Remember, it said at the very beginning of the reading that this is done with humor. The universe has a great sense of humor. So look for the funny stuff in your life today. Those are your guiding principles also. But ask your question and then go forth into your world today on this lovely Friday and see what signs you get. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are, including honoring your instinctual body and honoring your intuitive heart. See you tomorrow. Bye.